Hello everyone, this is Kubo and this is my laundry talk. Today, I'm going to talk about comedy. I love comedy. I love comedy. I think I started loving comedy when I was in kindergarten. I used to love watching all the comedy sketch show that was happening on TV and it was usually the comedy I liked was aired about after 10 p.m. 9 p.m. so it's a little bit later for child, so I used to record those shows and then I watch the next day. I loved it. And now I'm in Canada and I try to use English as often as possible. My work I still use some Japanese, but outside of my work, especially when I moved to the island, I'm not living in a city, so I would say 90% of my life outside of my work is quite mostly done in English. And yeah, so when we watch shows and stuff, me and my partner, when we watch shows and stuff, most shows we watch is comedy. No, in English, not necessarily comedy. But one thing about watching comedy in English is that when I was watching all the comedy shows in Japan, I would say that I understood most of the jokes. I would say most of the jokes they use in the TV, I understood. There must be some sort of cultural background about comedy. Is that the Japanese people in Japan and who watches Japanese TV shows, 99%, more than 99% of population who watches TV now and then are Japanese, nobody else. And then we shared, so there are a lot of common sense and understood without explaining what they are. And we have it's called one form of comedy, which is manzai. And in Japan, typically they're two comedians teams up, and then one of them pretend to be a little bit stupid, and one of them always point out how stupid they are, and they basically start insulting each other in a very funny way. I would say this is closer to British English. No, British comedy is that a little bit colder, sometimes a little bit pushy. It's very strong, and if you don't know the background of the comedy, sometimes people take it very offensive. But I really like that kind of comedy, a little bit satire, and in a sense that they tickle the common sense. There are people, someone I don't keep saying stupid, but there are people stupid the person in that comedy, and oh yeah, that's so funny, because I understand everyone wants to say it but they don't say it. And I think Japanese humor is very based on cultural background, because we have such a not independent, but what's the word for it? Very collective culture, so that people tend to share the same value or similar value. And then when any um, when you face, no, face is not word, but when you do any comedy and when they do satire, when they mock people, a lot of people understand, oh, I've seen this kind of people before, and in that sense, maybe Japanese humor is unique that way. But also I think in Canada there are a lot of, or like to understand a lot, any comedy in anywhere, any part of the world, you can get the very surface humor, but it's not always easy to get the humor that local people truthfully think clever and funny. And those facts, those common sense is not always visible and something you can always put the word on it. So every time especially like in the beginning of my journey in Canada, or let's just say North America, and I watched a lot of comedy show in English. I like Friends, How I Met Your Mother, those type of comedy show. I loved it. I really loved it. But also humor there are very straightforward, and I'm sure there were some kind of satiristic. There some kind of, I would say there are clever humor as well, but I didn't get it because I didn't understand the background of North American culture that much. And then when I watched, when I started watching Schitt's Creek is the Canadian TV show. I'm not sure if it's sitcom or not, but it wasn't easy for me to understand why they are so funny. But I've watched again. So I think first time I watched it is like 2 months, 3 months in Canada, and I thought that show was funny, but at the same time, like, I wasn't laughing that much. Like, I'm sure this is funny, but I'm like, still I don't understand a lot of part of it. And the second time I watched it, probably a year later, like I kind of ran out the easy comedy. So like, what should I watch? Maybe let's try Schitt's Creek again. And I laughed so hard. I cannot describe it. I cannot put any word on this matter yet. But I could find it funnier than first time I watched. I think simply because I'm getting used to the culture, or like living in Canada, and but like I started understanding what's the norm here, what kind of people are there, and it was very mesmerizing for me because every time I watch Schitt's Creek, I found new humor, I find new points to laugh, and that gives me lots of joy and confidence. And humor, understanding comedy, especially satiristic, something very, not insulting, but like more clever side of jokes. If you start understanding that level of humor, that shows the ability of your language, I do believe. So every time I laugh to comedy shows, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm getting there. Like my English is getting better and better, kind of thing. And there are also a lot of situations that, like, oh, I think it's funny, but I don't fully get it. and I'm hoping that I will get the point that like, oh, I will take the humor and I will laugh at you, at that joke, and I will snap back and like I'm gonna be funnier than your first statement kind of thing. So that's my goal. Anyway, thank you for watching. I think I'm done, so have a great day. Bye.